Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to hopefully teach you how to play, or at least the best way to play, the Kranvagn. Now, when played correctly, the Kranvagn is an absolutely amazing tank. It really is. It's got a very strong turret. Other than the turret, it hasn't got much armor. I'm not going to lie. You're not going to bounce that much. So there's only certain positions you really can get yourself in, which we will talk about when we get into the game. DPM wise, now because it is an auto reloader, the DPM can be made better. It all depends on how you want to play your tank. Whether you could play it with the 3 shots, you know, shoot all 3 shells, or you can play it where you just shoot 1 shell and then reload your shell and then carry on reloading and shooting, blah, blah, blah. All depends. Now, as I always say, literally, I think I say it in every single auto reloading tank video, apart from the reverse shell, if you've got a shot available, I would take that shot, because that shot might not be available in the next sort of 4, 5, 6 seconds. Obviously, if there's a tank in the open and you're reloading, then yeah, I would probably reload all 3 shells if you have time. But it's not always that you can reload all 3 shells. So the DPM, we're going to have a look at the stats. So the DPM, the turret is 225mm standard. Again, it all depends on your angles. Your hull is only 100mm. You've got 2048 DPM. So yeah, the DPM is very low for what it is, but that is shooting all 3 shells. So if you just shoot the 1 shell, reload, shoot 1 shell, it's actually one of the highest DPM heavies in the game. But again, it's not always that you're going to shoot that 1 shell. There's going to be times that you have to shoot all 3 shells. And there's going to be times where you don't have to shoot all 3 shells, but you want to shoot all 3 shells to just get that damage, because the enemy, or you've got friends on your team that are also aiming at the same tank. So you want to get as much damage as you can before they might kill that guy. So the DPM is quite low, but you can actually get that up quite a lot. So you've got a 3-second intro clip for each of your shells, and then the reloads are as follows. So 12.5 for your first shell, 8.79 for your second shell, and then 7.87 for your third shell. So you've got to remember that when you are reloading these 3 shells, you do have the intra clip on top of that. So you've got the first shell, which is, well, shell 3, which you reload first, which is 7.87 seconds. On top of that, you do have the 3 seconds. So you're looking at 10.87 seconds. For a heavy tank, that's still not bad, to be honest. It still isn't bad. And of course, then you've got the 8.79 and then 3 seconds on top of that. So yeah, I mean, it isn't bad. Now, I am running this with calibrated shells because it is an auto loader or auto reloader. It doesn't have the rammer. So 271 AP pen, I think, is perfectly fine, and you have 374 heat pen. Again, that is fine, and that will get through just about anything. You've got a 400 alpha gun, 340 on your heat and 515 on your HE. Aim time 3.2, not bad, to be honest, for a heavy tank, isn't bad at all. And the dispersion, not bad, but it's not great at 0.326. And you do have 9 degrees of gun depression to go with that armor. Now, the speed is quite low at 30, but again, you can get that up a bit because you do have that consumable where you are in, well, the improved engine power. So 40% to your engine power, 5 kilometers to your max forward, 10 to your reverse. So 10 in reverse, it does come in handy if you need to get out the way very quickly. So yeah, overall, the Kranvagn is still one of my favorites. It is still one of my favorite heavies to go out and play. And again, like all auto reloaders, I love the fact that you can play it in different ways, you know. It's not just a heavy tank with a single gun and there's only one way to play it. There is, and I'm not just talking about the Kranvagn in general, I'm talking about auto reloaders in general, not the tank. So yeah, you've got, you could play it as a single shotgun, you could play it as an auto loader, or you could play it as an auto reloader where you shoot all three, reload one, have another shot, reload two, have another two shot. You know, there are many different ways to play an auto loading tank, which I find amazing. Now, I think that's probably why I really like the tank, because you can play it in different ways. So the best way, what is the best way to play the Kranvagn? Now, if you've seen somebody's video recently, which is drama, clearly the best way to play the Kranvagn is to go to the back of the map in a TD position and camp. That is the best way to play the Kranvagn, and I'd say it's the best way to play the Kranvagn because if you're sitting right at the back of say dead rail, you know, if you're sitting at that TD position in dead rail, no one's going to look at you. The only downfall with playing the tank like this at the back of a map in dead rail is you might get pushed to the side. You might get pushed out by a tank destroyer. Who knows? But no, I'm joking aside. That is not the best way to play this tank. The best way to play this tank is, of course, in a hold down position. So if you are on a map like dead rail, probably going to the back in a bush isn't the best positions. However, there is actually, if you go on dead rail and the back of the map, there is actually like a hill on that bush, you know. You sit on the bush, you take a shot, and then normally you drop down a hill. So, you know, it could be a decent position. Also, again, I'm joking. Dead rail, you go to the middle. Obviously, you go to the middle. You have to try and get yourself on a ridge. That is where you will have the most, be the most effective on a ridge. Because if you're not on a ridge, then you will get deleted. So do bear that in mind. If you are not playing this tank on a ridge and you're in the open, you're not going to bounce too much. Frontally, from the side, you're not going to bounce pretty much nothing. So the only place that you are going to bounce is on that turret. So make sure all you are showing is that turret. Now, some positions or some maps or some certain angle, wherever, you're not going to be able to get on a ridge. So you might not even be able to get on a ridge, you know, if you're pushing with your team. There's some maps, you know, Himmelsdorf, for example, is one of those maps. There's going to be certain times where you're not going to be able to get your tank on a ridge. And if that is the case, then I would not play this front line. You know, yes, it's a heavy tank, but it's not a front line heavy tank because you will get deleted. And because people are quite impatient, especially when it comes to auto reloaders, if you play it front line, you're not going to sit there, shoot once and wait for your reload whilst the enemy are right in front of you shooting you. You're going to more than likely use all three shells whilst you are there. So front line is not a good option. It really isn't a good option. So what you really need to do is, yes, you can play a second line, you know, behind your super heavies, behind your IS-7s and your IS-4s, maybe your E3s, your E4s, you know, behind them. Play it second line. If you're going to play it far up, further forward than you would like, if you couldn't get on a ridge, that is the second to best way to sort of play this tank. And, you know, just support your team. It's a support tank. Just support your team. If you have to use all three shells, then use all three shells. If you can get away with just using one shell, then, of course, just use one shell because your DPM will be a bit more effective. If there is obviously a tank that is on below around sort of 1100 mark, then, yes, use all three shells because you should just about be able to clear them. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can play the Kranvagn, and the Kranvagn, when it was first introduced into the game, it was a lot better, like massively better. It was quite a quick tank for a medium. Wargaming, of course, before they released the tank, they did nerf it. They didn't want it to go as quick as it was going, but instead they reduced the speed and they gave it the speed boost. So you do still go the same kind of speed, but you only go for it for not even half the time, like for 10 seconds or so. And of course, make sure that you do use that speed boost when you actually need to use that speed boost. I normally use the speed boost right at the start of the game, to try and get into my hold down position early on before the team, and other times I don't just press it because it's available, just like this guy's doing here. He doesn't need to use it. However, if someone was now to start pushing this hill, then yeah, use it, because you do go 10 kilometers an hour quicker in reverse. So you do, that is a massive difference. 10 kilometers an hour in reverse is actually a massive difference. And again, if you have a tank that is right in front of you, like again, this guy just done the exact same thing that I would do. Use all 3 shells, because now look, the TVP is a one shot. He's pretty much going to die. Don't leave a tank on a one shot, you know, just kill him. Just freaking kill him, and then go for the reload after. And if you've only reloaded 1 shot and you're being attacked, then yeah, still, if you've got cover, then again, go for him. Like now at this E100, if I'm pushing him and I've only got like 1 shell reloaded, I would go and use that 1 shell. Again, there are times where you know you might have 2 shells reloaded. A tank comes in front of you and you've only got sort of 3 or 4 seconds left for the reload, then yeah, of course it would make sense to reload that 3rd shell. So again, that is why I love this tank, and that is why this tank has always been one of my favorites, even during test. I absolutely loved it during test. I loved it more during test than now, because of course it was a lot stronger. But there is only, like I said, there's one main way to play this tank, and that is to get yourself on a ridge. He has got himself on a ridge this game, but because he hasn't really been attacked on the ridge, he hasn't got any block damage. He's got 600 block damage, and again, look what he's doing here. The E100 is pushing. He's just reversing. He's reversing up. He's going to try and look up. It will annoy people. It will annoy people if you are on a ridge, because they're going to look and you're going to be red. So do be careful of that as well, because especially the big guns like the E100s, the Death Stars, you know, the big TDs, they might just splash HE at you, and that's probably the best option, is just to splash HE, because at least you're going to do something, because AP most likely won't be able to penetrate the Kranvagn, so there will be a lot of people to shoot HE, and that's like a little bit of advice for you guys who are going to come up against Kranvagns. Don't try and waste your shells. Don't try and sit there and aim, making yourself vulnerable. Just shoot HE. If your gun is a big enough gun, then just shoot HE, and at least you're going to do 100, 200, 300 damage, and at least you're going to do damage. But overall, the tank isn't still an absolutely fantastic tank when played correctly, and the correct way of playing it is not at the back of the map as a tank destroyer. So I had to get that little joke in. I'm sorry if anyone is offended, but it is a joke after all. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69. Stay tuned for tomorrow, because we do have a couple of videos with a couple of new tanks. So stay tuned for tomorrow. But for now, hope you enjoyed it. I'm Meadsy, and I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye. With